The government is still shut down, but fortunately the private sector, ironically, is still working. Investor Beat starts now. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Hill. Not exactly a bright day on Wall Street. The Dow and S&P 500 in the red as the federal government entered day 2 of the shutdown. The ADP private sector jobs report for September showed an additional 166,000 jobs. Good to know, since if the shutdown continues, there will not be a monthly jobs report on Friday from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me in studio today, Jason Moser and Matt Argersinger. Guys, our top story. Reuters is reporting that 3 of Microsoft's biggest shareholders are lobbying the board to have Bill Gates step down as chairman. Gates has been chairman of Microsoft since it was founded 38 years ago. Jason, we don't know who these 3 people are. They are bravely sharing their side of the story with Reuters. Is this premature?
I think it's definitely premature. I think that they have bigger problems in trying to figure out who's going to fill the CEO role. A lot of times when you see big investors with these big holdings in these big companies, they can kind of get that complex of feeling like they know what's best for the business always, and that's rarely the case in all honesty. At this point in the game, I think they really need to focus on getting a CEO to replace Steve Ballmer, and then, they can address whatever kind of board concerns they have going forward. Personally, I don't know that Bill Gates is going to be doing any real stifling of any innovation at that company. Maybe they just see him as sort of a roadblock to anything they maybe want to do in the future with Microsoft. But yeah, take one thing at a time.
Ballmer has shouldered much of the blame for Microsoft's woes, certainly the stock woes over the last decade. But you think Bill Gates not really blameless here?
No, not at all. You got to remember, he left in 2000. he left really at the apex of not only Microsoft's business, but certainly at its stock price. And Steve Ballmer had to come in and certainly grew the earnings power of the company and the businesses of the company. But it took so long just to catch up to the stock price where it is today. I kind of do blame Gates a little bit for Microsoft's meandering. I think he is the founder of the company. He's the most significant individual shareholder of the company, and I got to imagine as chairman, he's been a little bit of a bottleneck when it comes to really making bigger changes at the company, whether it's breaking up pieces of it or really changing the path. And so, getting Gates out of there, I agree with Jason. It's a little premature, but it might be the right step down the road.
The stock actually up a little bit today. When you look at the stock, though, what is the catalyst for Microsoft, the stock? Is it the next CEO, or does it have to be another new device?
Well, maybe not a new device so much. They're trying to make this leap into more services and basically, becoming more of an ecosystem for users. And so I think that's going to be something that we look at something like an Apple and a Google they've done so well with to this point. I can't believe actually when you look at Microsoft and Apple together, Apple's the cheaper stock. And when you look at it from the innovation side, well, I think Apple's won that battle too, and they've at least got that CEO role filled. Until Microsoft gets a CEO there, I wouldn't even think about touching the stock. Once that happens, I'm still on the fence. So I'm just going to sit back and watch this one for a while.
All right, let's get to some of the day's movers and shakers. Netflix hitting an all-time high for the 2nd day in a row. What's driving this? Is this federal employees who are home just binge watching?
That's the joke I wanted to make. Yeah, no,
sorry, stole your thunder.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. But it's just there's so many good things going for the company right now. Whether it's the success of its original content, winning Emmys, or its international expansion. They just signed a deal with Sweden's biggest cable TV provider. There's also talk about them maybe working a little closer with the U.S. cable providers, which is interesting, but certainly would just expand the use of Netflix by its own. So a lot of just things going right for Netflix. I'm not surprised it's hitting an all-time high.
Pandora rising after announcing its latest audience metrics. Active listeners have risen 25% over the past 9 months, and total listener hours in September were up 18% year over year. Nice stats, but and I'm not a shareholder, but I'm just wondering, where are the money stats?
Well, that's just it. I think with Pandora, to me, I look at this, to me it's a better service than actually it is an investment at this point. I think it's great that they're increasing the active listenership, and it definitely is a neat service that they provide. But let's not forget here, this company makes their money primarily through advertising. That's 90% of their sales are tied to advertising. And so I don't know that really active listeners are going to be something that necessarily trickles down to the bottom line for these guys. And add to that the introduction of Apple's iTunes Radio. I've used it myself. I've compared the two. It's a competitor out there. Anybody who says otherwise just isn't looking at it really, I think, objectively. Pandora shareholders need to be concerned about that. I think the stock is still a little bit too overvalued today for my liking.
A couple of hot IPOs today. Remax Holdings up big on day one of trading. Remax is a leading franchisor of residential real estate brokerages. What do you think when you look at this stock relative to other stocks in the housing industry?
Sure. Well, I think it was the right time for RE/MAX to come public. I mean, it is one of the world's biggest online brokers, or real estate brokers. Over 90,000 brokers under RE/MAX's wing. If you look at what Zillow, Trulia on the online space, or if you look at one of RE/MAX's direct competitors, Realogy, which owns Coldwell Banker and Century 21. They've had tremendous runs since their IPOs, and on the heels of course, a very good, strong residential real estate market. And so I think this is the right time for RE/MAX to come public. At the same time, taking the other side of it, I say this could signal a little bit of a temporary top in the housing market if RE/MAX, a company like RE/MAX, thinks it's time to go public. So I'd say buyer beware here.
And finally, Burlington Stores, the parent company of Burlington Coat Factory, up even more today, somewhere in the neighborhood of 45%.
It's a lot of coats.
That is a lot of coats. And yet, as we talked about earlier, they kind of left some money on the table.
Yeah, it seems like they did, at least when you compare the company to some of its competitors like TJ Maxx and Ross Stores. They traded an EV to EBITDA multiple of about 10-ish, and Burlington went on the market here around 6.5. So the pop in the stock today is not terribly surprising, but actually combing through this company's S1, the filing to go public, it seems like there's a significant growth opportunity here with about 500 stores today. The plan is to open about 25 every year, and they could actually get probably somewhere close to 1,000 stores. So they really offer a lot of apparel. It's more than just coats, Chris, and it's all fire sale prices. And so I think it's very attractive, especially in times like these when people are pinching those purse strings. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one keep running for a little bit.
All right, that's going to do it for today's action. Let's look ahead to the rest of the week. Give me a stock I can put on my watch list.
Sure. Orbital Sciences, ticker ORB. Not a lot of people know this, but there are private companies that actually launch rockets into space, and so surprisingly, Orbital is one of them. So this past weekend, really good news for them. Their Cygnus cargo supply ship rocketed away last week, and then this past weekend it docked with the International Space Station, delivered about 1,500 pounds of supplies to the astronauts there, and then it's going to come back down to Earth, do it again, hopefully in a few months. And so this could be the beginning for a company like Orbital to really start doing this, and space flights, assuming the government opens at some point again,
yeah.
Cargo supply ships like this could become a big deal for this. And so Orbital Sciences is one of those few companies that actually has the capability of doing it.
All right, Jason, what about you?
Yeah, clean energy fuels. We talk a lot about natural gas, and clean energy fuels is one of these companies that's really playing into that movement. They're building America's natural gas highway for the trucking industry and a lot of sort of the refuse and taxis and airports and governments and states and localities. Andrew Littlefair, the co-founder of this company, the CEO of the company, works with T. Boone Pickens. He's taken a book out of he's taken a page out of the book of Elon Musk here and tweeting out how they have a big announcement to make in regard to the future of natural gas and clean energy fuels, and we're to expect an announcement tomorrow. So the stock has certainly seen a little bit of a move up here the past couple of days. It's a company, I really like the future of this company. They're building out this tremendous network of stations there, which I think is going to be a big competitive advantage. So I'll look forward to hearing what the announcement is tomorrow.
What kind of snacks are they going to have at the rest stop on America's natural gas?
Well, they're partnerships with Flying J, so I have to believe that the comeback of the Twinkie is going to manifest itself in some of these Flying J's, possibly even a Ding Dong or even a cupcake or two.
Now I'm interested in the stock. All right, for Jason Moser and Matt Argersinger, I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.